morning and thank you for joining us. It is a Friday. When you see my face first time on your screen, most probably it's a Friday. Most probably. I didn't say always. Most probably. Welcome to the show. My name is Chantal Olive Akandinda and it is the 14th of June 2024. We are still in the special month, and if you are born in this month, happy birthday to you. If you know someone who was born in this month, happy birthday to them. And of course, we'll continue to keep you updated, keep you informed. But on a Friday like this one, we tone it a little bit down for you, but still keep it the way it should be. It still remains business as usual, but we get a little bit, we get to turn it down a little bit more and get into your lives, get into your schedule, and try to usher you into the weekend. Welcome aboard. We shall be going up to 9 in the morning. The whole team is here, so it's full house, and we're going to be having very important conversations. As of yesterday, the budget for the financial year 2024-2025 was delivered by yours truly, the usual suspect, Honorable Matia Kasaija. And I was talking to someone who said, it's the same person reading the budget, so we shouldn't expect anything different. But it all seemed too rosy and very, very nice to look at. And I'm looking forward to hearing what stood out for the team in everything that was said by the Honorable Minister. But if in case you missed it, especially for you who is unemployed or for the unemployed youth, when it comes to employment, there seems to be good news when it comes to the parish development model, which, for example, has had a lot of scandals. It is believed, or it is said, actually, it was reported that when you look at the beneficiaries of the parish development model, you're looking at about 1.165 million households that have received the funds, and this goes up to a total of about 1.126 trillion, and that was as of last month, not far from today, and it is estimated to create about 2.5 million jobs. So you're either going to gain directly from the parish development model or indirectly through the employment opportunities that will be created and have been created as of today. Then also, let's take a look at the youth projects that have benefited about 263,897 youths, and a total of 23,083 youth projects have benefited, and this has created over 1,250,000 indirect jobs. And also continuing, the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities is supporting about 6,282 enterprises, benefiting 49,372 persons with disabilities. Now, I chose to pick out this because, one, the youth make up the biggest percentage of our population as a country. That means if we're talking about economic growth and development, if we are not seeing growth and development in the youth and the initiatives being put in place, then as well we might start thinking about a future that is not as bright as we would envision. Let's check in with the team. Right next to me in Studio A is Jerome Paul Sonko. In Studio B is Uncle Bob and Olive Monica Najima. So let's start with Uncle Bob. Good morning, Robert.
Of course, our viewers, thank you so much for waking up with us. Now, Honorable Matia Kasaija, yesterday one of the things I was eager to hear was the public debt. And guess what? The man comes and assures Ugandans, it's sustainable, you know, it is okay, don't need to worry about that. This issue of the debt financing taking a huge chunk of our budget, Matia Kasaija, that is not something to give him sleepless nights, according to what he said.
There was a trending video of his some years ago, and even up to now, some people have been, you know, sharing it around, where he promised that the economy will be, but then that airplane.
Yeah. However, for my brothers, you people, I did know that there is what they call powdered beer. Until when the budget was being read yesterday, I knew of powdered juice. Now, when I'm hearing a tax imposed on powdered beer, then a 10,000 on every liter of imported wine. So, my brother, the Godwins of this world, now when we are talking about every liter of imported wine, there's a 10,000 there. But also, both diesel and fuel having a 100 shilling added per liter.
Yes.
I think those are some of the outstanding.
Quite unrealistic.
But at least I'm when it comes to powdered beer, imported wines, there are things maybe we can do without. You know, we should not be ranking good when it comes to...
I can assure you, in politics, you would sound unpopular if you continue to say that we can do without it, because you might find most of your voters are the beer drinkers. And
you see that because of beer and alcohol, that is why we have sometimes weak quality of politicians. Because people are simply given jerry cans, people are bought beer, and then on the voting day we have drunkards deciding sometimes. You know, it is easy. Go where there's a drinking joint, buy for them liquor, buy for them beer, you have their vote. I
have noted something this whole week, Cherabo. This whole, ever since you returned, Ozo Kuba. Good morning, Olive.
Oh, good morning, Chantal.
I noticed you were quietly listening to Chirabo. I could only imagine what was going through your mind. Tell us how you're feeling today and what stood out for you in the budget reading as of yesterday.
Well, I am fantastic. It's a beautiful day. It's Friday. And yeah, I welcome our viewers onto Good Morning Uganda, because Friday is laid back, business as usual, but laid back. And some of the conversations that we have on Fridays are conversations that sometimes struck a certain chord only our viewers understand. But now going back to Chirabo.
You take powdered beer.
First of all,
no.
I didn't know there was powdered beer.
Yes.
To begin with.
Plus, Oliver does not drink beer.
I don't also drink beer. Thank you, Chantal, for mentioning that. I do not drink
But wine, there is also a tax on.
Why are you making me? Why?
Every liter.
Why are you doing this?
It is well.
Chirabo is definitely trying to release private secrets on national television. It's not fair, not at all. But when I look at some of the taxes, Chantal, fuel is already expensive.
Right.
A litre of petrol is almost 6,000 shillings.
Right.
And now with that 100 shillings levied onto fuel, I don't know what we are going to do, because here is the thing. The cost of living keeps going high, and according to the budget, they are going to tax us even more, because trust me, that is the major way that the government is looking at to finance the budget. But as the cost of living goes higher, our livelihoods are not changing. The employers are not increasing pay, and so we live in a vicious cycle of paying taxes and living hand to mouth without being able to grow ourselves. That's the problem I have with the budget.
All right, and the business presenter on the team, I know you are all ears on the ground trying to pick as much information as we could pick, and Oliver's noted some of the things that are going to be affecting us as Ugandans, because if you're adding a certain amount of money in fuel, for example, that is going to lead us to an increase in prices in almost everywhere, because transport cuts across. Because I will have to transport my produce from one place to another, there is an increment in fuel or transportation costs. That means I'll have to increase. That means food prices are going to go high. Look at the consumables, look at the commodities we use, even just toilet paper, for example, bathing soap, pads, for those who cannot even afford them as of now, there is still going to be an increase in prices for those things. Let's hear from you, Sonko. How are you feeling this Friday morning, and what was your take home from the budget?
First, I'm feeling okay, and I'm feeling well. And good morning, our dear viewer. Thank you very much for joining us. My takeaway from the budget, first, is from the side of revenue mobilization. One major concern is Uganda Revenue Authority, at the start of this financial year, which is coming to an end on 30th June, is supposed to collect about 29 trillion Ugandan shillings. And then what we do have so far is that they are yet to hit that target. So the question is, will they be able to hit the target by the end of this month?
In the next 15 days.
Now, besides that, in the next financial year, they are supposed to collect 31 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, of course, it again kind of prepares us as the taxpayers for a very hard financial year, because we are supposed to contribute greatly to the national budget, because besides that, the other money is going to come from borrowing. And my other worry is, by December 2023, our public debt had grown to about 93.38 trillion Ugandan shillings. And it's expected, according to Matia Kasaija, to grow to 97 trillion Ugandan shillings by the end of this month, which means by the end of this financial year. So now that means with the level of external borrowing that we are doing, as much as we are looking at how sustainable this debt can be, it clearly shows we are still borrowing even in the next financial year, because if our domestic revenue mobilization strategies have not reaped good results, again you get to realize that the taxpayer is more likely to be pinned to the wall. I think
leading us to things like
yes,
tax evasion.
Exactly. So it's more like a situation where we have to be milked to the core to us to meet. But of course, on the good note is that the GDP growth of our country is slightly heading to 7%, because according to the Ministry of Finance, it is now at 6%, up from the 5.3% it was on in the previous financial year, which of course clearly gives you a projection that we are moving in the right direction, being the best investment destination within East Africa and among the best on the African continent, like the minister said. Is a big kind of confidence that we can move with in the next financial year. But that aside, lots of questions regarding our borrowing strategies.
Right, and you talked about our growth being at 6% from 5.3%. And according to Matia Kasaija, the Honorable, he says that the economy of our country has recovered fully from both internal and external shocks. I don't know what your take would be on that.
I think
he's viewing from a different angle.
No, not that. I think it goes both ways. One, his view of things is to bring hope to the Ugandans, but then on ground you get to realize that the things are quite different. Because if you're looking at the fact that we have survived from the shocks, when the majority of the business people are actually running out of businesses, because today many people would rather be employed than starting up businesses, because they know at least they will only have pressure to deliver at workspaces than the pressure of paying taxes, pressure of meeting different areas and paying different business costs. It is really difficult on ground, but I hope the government kind of makes it very easy for the business people, because when you look at our private sector, especially the small and medium-sized enterprises, most of the money that we are having as well from the private sector is coming in from that informal sector, because that is where the day-to-day money
Yet ideally,
comes from.
Yet ideally, it should be coming from the formal sector. But then again, we also do know that our economy is highly informal, and that leads us to the various conversations we can have around the same. Well, just a bit of a banter about the budget reading yesterday and some of the issues that stood out for the team, and hopefully some of the questions that we have could be some of the questions that Ugandans have. Hopefully they get to be answered as we go by. And well, we still do have our local stories that have been gathered for use for the last 24 hours, and also international stories and what is in the print this morning. But first, the local stories.
And no better way to start than with the budget reading yesterday, where the Minister for Finance Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Matia Kasaija, defended the huge public debt which has of recent put the country on spotlight. This follows a record of 72.136 trillion budget passed for the next financial year 2024-2025 amidst public debt standing of 97.368 trillion as of June 2024. Minister Kasaija, while presenting the budget speech, assured the country of the debt sustainability through interventions to increase domestic revenue. The national budget for the financial year 2024-2025 is the fifth and the final budget in the implementation of the National Development Plan 3. While presenting the 72.136 trillion budget, Minister Kasaija first gave an account on the performance of the concluding financial year's budget of 2023-2024, including the progress of the parish development model and the factors which contribute to a resilient economic recovery. But the performance comes at a glance of the public debt hitting 97.368 trillion by the end of June 2023. Minister Kasaija is not worried as he broke down the expenditure of the borrowed money. Kasaija interested the public on the development of the industrial parks, extension of the national backbone infrastructure, which has improved the quality of internet and communication, as well as investment in education and health, among others, in relation to the borrowed funds.
And moving on, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has decried corruption as the current stumbling block to Uganda's economic development. Museveni warns of unimaginable consequences for the corrupt, vowing to stamp the vice out of Uganda. This he sounded during the 2024-25 financial year budget presentation at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds, where he emphasized the need for priorities as opposed to unnecessary borrowing.
And moving on, Soroti-based lawyer Joshua Okello has escalated his legal campaign beyond African borders in a bold move to challenge the United Kingdom's sanction imposed on the Speaker of Ugandan Parliament, Anita Among. Okello lodged a complaint in the European Court of Human Rights. This follows the delay of the High Court's Civil Division in Kampala to set the hearing date for his case. Okello initially filed a lawsuit in the High Court Civil Division in Kampala to challenge the United Kingdom sanctions slapped on Ugandan Parliament Speaker. Despite his efforts, the legal proceedings faced repeated delays, prompting Okello to pursue justice through international avenues. His move is to involve the European Court of Human Rights. Signifies a strategic shift in legal strategy, leveraging international human rights framework to challenge what he perceives as overreaching by external powers. Speaker Annette Amongi found herself subject to the measures which Okello argues are unjust and detrimental to her rights and the country's sovereignty. This marks a pivotal moment in his efforts to contest the sanctions enforced by the United Kingdom, and the sanctions in question have stirred controversy since they were imposed on the Speaker.
And lastly, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robert Nabbanja, has commended the development partners for their continued support towards the government of Uganda that has enabled 82,000 customary land owners get legal documents on their land. Nabbanja said that this has guaranteed their land tenure security and ensured their land rights are protected. The Premier was speaking at a week-long conference on land governance at Speak Resort Munyonyo in Kampala yesterday morning. Forced evictions and land conflicts in Uganda is an hindrance to economic transformation, a matter that requires multi-sectoral approaches together with regional and sub-regional institutions, intergovernmental organizations, the academia, technical and financial partners. For a week now, experts on land governance from 35 countries have been meeting in Kampala to deliberate and learn from each other on how they can successfully promote land governance. The Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Judith Nabakoba, said Uganda was chosen to host the conference because of the enabling environment of ensuring that all Ugandans are assured of their security. The Prime Minister, Robert Nabbanja, commended the development partners for their continued support towards the government of Uganda that has enabled 82,000 customary land owners get legal documents on their land. The Prime Minister said that the NRM government is committed to resolving ongoing land disputes and will ensure that illegal land evictions and land transactions are conducted in a transparent and legal manner. The meeting discussed land reforms geared towards increasing women participation in land governance. Well, Chantal, that does it for our local news.
Well, let's cross over and see what is happening on the international scene now. The G7 has agreed to use the frozen Russian assets to raise $50 billion for Ukraine to help it fight invading Russian forces. The U.S. President Joe Biden said it was another reminder to Russia that we're not backing down, but Moscow has threatened extremely painful retaliatory measures. The money is not expected to arrive until the end of the year, but is seen as a longer-term solution to support Ukraine's war effort and economy. Also at the G7 summit in Italy, Ukrainian President Zelensky and Mr. Biden signed a 10-year bilateral security deal between Ukraine and the U.S., hailed by Kyiv as historic. The agreement envisages U.S. military and training aid to Ukraine, but it does not commit Washington to send troops to fight for its ally. Some $325 billion worth of assets were frozen by the G7 alongside the European Union following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The port of assets is generating about $3 billion in a year in interest. Moving on, Donald Trump has returned to Capitol Hill to meet Republicans in his first visit since the riot by supporters of his at Congress 3 years ago. The presumptive Republican nominee in November's presidential election delivered a message of unity, promising to work out any lingering differences within the party. Later in the day, the former president met with an association of 200 corporate leaders, and Nancy Pelosi, the former Democratic House Speaker, said in a statement that Trump was the instigator of an insurrection, returning to the crime of sin. The visit comes a fortnight after Trump's criminal conviction for falsifying business records in his hush money trial in New York. He arrived at a Republican office building near the U.S. Capitol building on Thursday morning, passing a small crowd of protesters holding signs with slogans including "Failed coup" and "Democracy forever, Trump never." In a brief news conference early on Thursday afternoon, Trump said there was great unity in the party and vowed to stand by fellow Republicans, even those he disagreed with. And back to Africa, our neighbors here, a senior Kenyan police officer has been shot dead after he opened fire at a magistrate in court in the capital, Nairobi. The chief inspector opened fire on Makadara Principal Magistrate Monica Kivuti shortly after she made a ruling in a case reportedly involving his wife. The officer is said to have been angered by the court's decision to cancel her bail after she absconded. The officer, identified as Samson Kipchirchir Kipruto, who is in charge of a police station in Londaini in western Kenya, then pulled out a gun and shot the magistrate, injuring her. Other officers in court responded immediately, with one of them shooting the offended policeman and killing him. In the process, 3 other officers were injured, the police reported, and the magistrate and the injured officers are being treated in hospital. The judiciary said the magistrate had cancelled the bond for an accused person who had jumped bond and had failed to offer satisfactory explanations for jumping bond. And matters climate change is harming the heart health of people around the world. A review warns extreme temperatures, hurricanes, and other dangerous weather events all contribute to an increased risk of heart disease and heart-related death, researchers reported Wednesday in the journal JAMA Cardiology. Climate change is already adversely affecting cardiovascular health in the U.S. and worldwide, said researcher Dhruv Kazi, Associate Director of the Beth Israeli Deaconess Medical Centers for Outcomes Research in Boston. Urgent action is needed to mitigate climate change-related cardiovascular risk, particularly among most vulnerable populations. Over the last century, the average global temperature has increased by more than 2 degrees Fahrenheit, researchers said. This has led to long-term shifts in weather patterns, rising sea levels, and disrupted ecosystems. And that leads us to the end of our climate news and international news. Let's cross over and see what is in the dailies this morning with Sonko.
And well, with our dailies this morning, the New Vision is giving you A recap of what was happening yesterday at the national budget reading. At the front page, 18 pages of analysis, expert advice and budget speech for the budget 2024-2025. Now, when you look at the gains, PDM working out with 2.4 trillion, health 2.946 trillion, education 2.497, agro-industrialization 1.878 trillion, oil and gas 920.86 billion, and then tourism with 289.6 billion shillings. Those are some of the top sectors that have benefited greatly within the budget allocations. Now, family series teamwork has kept us together for 26 years. Read about this marriage and how you can steer your marriage to greater heights. President Museveni vows to fight graft and commends finance. That is more with the president's speech yesterday while addressing the country in regards to the national budget reading. Then also at the front page, you can see some of the new taxes, 10,000 per litre on imported wines, taking effect 1st July this year. 0.5% of the value of withdrawals of money from other platforms other than mobile money, an increment in there. Then 100 shillings per litre on petrol and diesel, which means we shall have an increase in the fuel prices in the next financial year. Now, the Daily Monitor, jobs freeze and tax squeeze. The Daily Monitor, the budget. While unveiling the 2024-2025 budget at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala, President Museveni promised hellfire for corrupt government officials whom he said had failed to heed his past soft methods to tackle corruption. National cake priority programs. You can now look at what the Daily Monitor has highlighted, special coverage on, from page 2 to 8 in regards to the national budget, and a simple allocation at the front page showing agro-industrialization, regional development, sustainable energy development. Then there's the development plan implementation, private sector development, transport infrastructure, governance and security, then human capital development. And please do note, this is a project, this is a program-based budget that we are operating in the past 2 years. Now this is the third. Now, Mengo and clan leaders clash again over President Museveni's meeting. And then also, President issues fresh orders on land evictions. Then in the other news, 500 million shillings service award splits Uganda Investment Authority and the Finance Ministry. Then also in the Scoop magazine, the case of regional artists breaking into Kampala. Find more in today's Daily Monitor. Now in Kenya, jobs freeze and tax squeeze. Budget. The opposition members of parliament skip House session, vow to shoot down budget for punishing the Kenyans. Now look at East Africa's biggest budget for the next financial year, which is Kenya's, at 3.9 trillion Kenyan shillings, is the budget that Kenya will be having. Now, the season of pain, as the Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndugu yesterday announced a raft of sharp expenditure cuts, freeze on employment and new tax measures in a budget that mirrored the International Monetary Fund's recent demands for deep public sector reforms aimed at ensuring the country starts living within its means in all 3 years. More is in the Daily Nation. Now, Ruto shuns politics, pledges to boost agriculture in Mount Kenya tour. Find more in a report regarding tragedy as police officer is shot dead as magistrate injured in city court drama. Then why FBI boss came calling on Kenyan security chiefs. Find more details in the Daily Nation. Then in the sports segment, Euro 2024, Germany plays Scotland in Euro 2024 opener this evening. Then lastly, from press reviews, the Citizen newspaper from Tanzania, economic stimulus. Read about the 10.29 trillion the government that will spend in the next financial year on economic development. Then also the finance minister of Tanzania, Nchemba, displaying the briefcase containing the government's 2024-2025 budget before presenting it to Parliament yesterday in Tanzania. Now, Tanzania's meat export surges as leather dips. Then in football, why Yanga's Gwede faces an uncertain future. That and more is what you can find in the Citizen and other dailies in regards to the budget from the 3 East African countries.
Thank you, Sonko. Now, it's approximately 7 in the morning and we shall be getting into a very short break. But before we do that, just to keep you in the loop, we shall be returning with a conversation. June is known as Men's Health Month, and this conversation is going to be centered majorly on mental health. We are going to be having a special feature guest that we're going to be conversing with on mental health. Be part of the conversation. Send us your views on what you think, and probably if you want to share where you are, it wouldn't be such a bad idea. And then also later on, we shall be having Sonko with a breakdown of the budget, which was read yesterday. And after that, we shall be having a bit of entertainment. And lastly, we shall be closing with a bit of sports. So do stick around. For now, the break takes us the break. And the song for the break, or for the inspiration song for the day, is by Jose Chameleon. Must be a flashback Friday for our producer, Nzigudida. Jose Chameleon is what we're going into. We'll be right back. And if you were born in this month, happy birthday to you. If you know someone who was born in this month, happy birthday to them. And of course, we'll continue to keep you updated, keep you informed. But on a Friday like this one, we tone it a little bit down for you, but still keep it the way it should be. It still remains business as usual, but we get a little bit, we get to turn it down a little bit more and get into your lives, get into your schedule, and try to usher you into the weekend. Welcome aboard. We shall be going up to 9 in the morning. The whole team is here, so it's full house, and we're going to be having very important conversations. As of yesterday, the budget for the financial year 2024-2025 was delivered by yours truly, the usual suspect, Honorable Matia Kasaija. And I was talking to someone who said, it's the same person reading the budget, so we shouldn't expect anything different. But it all seemed too rosy and very, very nice to look at. And I'm looking forward to hearing what stood out for the team in everything that was said by the Honorable Minister. But if in case you missed it, especially for you who is unemployed or for the unemployed youth, when it comes to employment, there seems to be good news when it comes to the parish development model, which, for example, has had a lot of scandals. It is believed, or it is said, actually, it was reported that it was reported that when you look at the beneficiaries of the parish development model, you're looking at about 1.165 million households that have received the funds, and this goes up to a total of about 1.126 trillion, and that was as of last month, not far from today, and it is estimated to create about 2.5 million jobs. So you're either going to gain directly from the parish development model or indirectly through the employment opportunities that will be created and have been created as of today. Then also, let's take a look at the youth projects that have benefited about 263,897 youths, and a total of 23,083 youth projects have benefited, and this has created over 1,250,000 indirect jobs. And also continuing, the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities is supporting about 6,282 enterprises, benefiting 49,372 persons with disabilities. Now, I chose to pick out this because, one, the youth make up the biggest percentage of our population as a country. That means if we're talking about economic growth and development, if we are not seeing growth and development in the youth and the initiatives being put in place, then as well we might start thinking about a future that is not as bright as we would envision. Let's check in with the team. Right next to me in Studio A is Jerome Paul Sonko. In Studio B is Uncle Bob and Olive Monica Najima. So let's start with Uncle Bob. Good morning, Robert.
Of course, our viewers, thank you so much for waking up with us. Now, Honorable Matia Kasaija, yesterday one of the things I was eager to hear was the public debt. And guess what? The man comes and assures Ugandans, it's sustainable, it is okay, don't need to worry about that. This issue of the debt financing taking a huge chunk of our budget, Matia Kasaija, that is not something to give him sleepless nights, according to what he said. There was
a trending video of his some years ago, and even up to now, some people have been, sharing it around, where he promised that the economy will be, but then that airplane.
Yeah. However, for my brothers, you people, I did know that there is what they call powdered beer. Until when the budget was being read yesterday, I knew of powdered juice. Now, when I'm hearing a tax imposed on powdered beer, than a 10,000 on every liter of imported wine. So my brother, the Godwins of this world, now when we are talking about in every liter of imported wine, there's a 10,000 there. But also both diesel and fuel having a 100 shilling added per liter.
Yes.
I think those are some of the outstanding.
Quite unrealistic.
But at least when it comes to powdered beer, imported wines, those are things maybe we can do without. You know, we should not be ranking good when it comes to...
I can assure you, in politics, you would sound unpopular if you continue to say that we can do without it, because you might find most of your voters are the beer drinkers.
And you see that because of beer and alcohol, that is why we have sometimes weak quality of politicians. Because people are simply given jerry cans, people bought beer.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having disability is not inability.
Professional guidance.
There is no special antiretroviral therapy that is given specifically for discordant couples.
And of course, politics.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for Anita Mong and Talebo?
That is laughable. Why would we pay when we have nominated them as SEC?
Every party has been represented in Uganda's parliament for 10 years. We only by one MP, you yourself and my daughter, Susan.
Every Friday 9 p.m. it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Live from this weekend on UBC.
We know what we are doing, and we're doing it in rebellion. But do you know what we say? He will understand. Now he will understand. We carry it on. We want our children to be better than that.
Why we are living in rebellion, but we want our children to be so good at obedience.
We can only parent as far as or as much as we are obedient to our Father.
If you rebel against him and you expect your children to be obedient, I'm telling you, God in his mercy may come and meet them on his own, but you will become a reject. You will become a reject before your children.
This weekend on UBC.
Dealing with bloating and stomach discomfort can be a challenging and uncomfortable experience. Whether it's post-meal discomfort or that pesky bloated feeling, finding relief is a common goal for many individuals. Get ready to kick bloating to the curb with a set of exercises designed to bring relief to your stomach. No fancy equipment needed, just your dedication and a desire for that amazing post-exercise bliss. Your journey to a happier tummy starts now. Let's get moving. Number 1. Walking. A post-meal walk. Not only encourages gentle movement in your abdomen, but also helps activate your digestive muscles. The rhythmic motion of walking aids in the natural contractions of the digestive tract, facilitating smoother digestion and reducing the chances of bloating. Number 2. Deep breathing. Deep breathing engages your diaphragm, promoting relaxation and reducing the stress response. Stress can contribute to bloating, so practicing deep breathing helps create a calming effect, supporting optimal digestion and potentially alleviating bloating. Number 3. Cycling. Whether cycling outdoors or on a stationary bike, the continuous pedaling engages core muscles. This engagement helps stimulate blood circulation in the abdominal area, promoting digestive efficiency and reducing bloating. Number 4. Abdominal massage. By using gentle circular motions in a clockwise direction, you're not only increasing blood flow but also encouraging the movement of gas through the intestines. This can be particularly beneficial for those experiencing discomfort due to trapped gas. Number 5. Plank pose. Holding a plank engages multiple muscle groups, including the core. This activation supports the digestive organs and enhances muscle tone, potentially aiding in digestion and reducing feelings of bloating. Number 6. Pelvic tilts. This exercise involves controlled movement of the pelvis, activating muscles in the lower abdomen. It enhances flexibility and promotes gentle massage-like effects, potentially assisting in relieving tension and bloating. Number 7. Leg raises. Lying on your back and lifting your legs engages the lower abdominal muscles. This movement increases blood circulation in the area, promoting digestive health and potentially reducing bloating. Number 8. Bicycle crunches. The twisting and cycling motion in this exercise engage the entire core, including oblique muscles. This can enhance the efficiency of the digestive process, potentially providing relief from bloating. Number 9. Pilates. Pilates focuses on controlled movements and core strength. Many exercises involve precise muscle engagement, supporting the abdominal region and potentially improving digestion, reducing bloating over time. Number 10. Aerobic exercises, brisk walking, jogging, or dancing. During aerobic exercises, increase heart rate and stimulate blood circulation throughout the body, including the abdominal area. This enhanced blood flow supports optimal digestion, reducing the likelihood of bloating. Incorporating these exercises into your routine not only provides physical benefits, but also encourages a holistic approach to digestive health. As always, it's essential to listen to your body and consult with a healthcare professional for personalized advice. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, this program is produced by Sani Productions, powered by UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Zam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
This weekend on UBC.
We know what we are doing, and we're doing it in rebellion. But do you know what we say? He will understand. Now, he will understand. We carry it on. We want our children to be better than that.
Why we are living in rebellion. But we want our children to be so good at obedience.
We can only parent as far as or as much as we are obedient to our Father.
If you rebel against him and you expect your children to be obedient, I'm telling you, God in his mercy may come and meet them on his own, but you will become a reject. You will become a reject before your children.
This week.